Morning, wherever you are in the world watching this Q&A interview. My name is Mick, founder of the ACL Hub, and I've got the absolute pleasure of talking shop with Marisa van der Meer. For those that don't know Marisa is a professional women's soccer player in the A-League competition here in Australia and New Zealand, and she's currently based in New Zealand and fully fledged Kiwi. And she unfortunately has seen the rough side of a couple of ACL injuries, and is also a physio. So she's carrying a few feathers in a hat. But Marisa, welcome to the ACL Hub, and thanks once again for spending some time and having a chat with me tonight.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Oh, pleasure. No, as I said it before, the feedback we've been getting and hearing the stories is something that the people here like to hear, and yeah, and am incredibly grateful for you to have a chat about yours. If you don't mind asking first, like, are you happy to sort of go back and back in time to the first injury and how it happened, and can you sort of recall what happened at the time and how it felt and all those probably things that don't feel too great. But yeah, if you can, relive that for us and
Yeah.
share that experience.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, it would have been what, December 2023, so end of that year. Had been playing in the A-League, been going really well, and then cool enough to get a call up to go up to the first team for the football ferns. So that was my first call up for a wee while, and I haven't got my first cap yet. So was over in Colombia playing, and yeah, it was actually in the warm up before one of the games that they were playing against Colombia, and yeah, just happened to be in I think like a bit of a defending situation where I was, defending the attacking players, and yeah, just a non-contact sort of change of direction. Collapsed to the ground. I was obviously like, what's happened? A bit of a shock, but yeah, obviously had never experienced anything like that. Yeah, instantly obviously a bit of pain, and then sort of got up off the ground after a wee while and thought I was like, feeling good, moving about, and then yeah, I could just feel it just wasn't quite right to keep going and to keep going through the warm up. So we kind of just made the call to take it easy, and then later on I ended up getting the MRI done over in Colombia while I was there. Pretty quick. Obviously, it's
Yep.
pretty easy access through like national team stuff. So
Yep.
got that, and then yeah, was with my physio, and they were looking at the scans with me, and obviously it was cool for me to see in terms of not cool, but like
Yeah.
to look at the scans, and yeah, unfortunately, just got the call that yeah, done my
Got
ACL.
got 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 the bad news. Were
Yeah.
you where were you at that stage in your physio journey? Were you a student then, or were you a
Yeah, yes, I would have been a fourth year student. So I
yeah,
would have just been in maybe the just past my halfway mark of doing all my placements.
yeah,
So I think I had one more placement to do. So I deferred that one for the next year. So then I completed it in the 2024. So
yeah.
yeah, was almost at the end of my degree, and then yeah, ended up doing the old
In
ACL
the
in the
ACL.
midst of it. So yeah.
And there was not, did you have an inkling at the time, like having sort of heard and been around soccer for enough time, you probably have seen some teammates go down and probably maybe seen a few injuries occur on field. Like, did you have any thought that's what might show up clinically when you went and got
Mm.
tested? And
Yeah, I think it was around that time. I think it was just like, I mean, obviously it's just becoming sadly like more and more in female footballers that you're just seeing more and more doing the ACLs. But I think it was around that time, like Sam Kerr maybe had just done hers, or another girl in my Phoenix team had done it as well. And so obviously when it happened, just obviously didn't feel right. So yeah, in the
yeah,
back of my mind I was thinking, oh, is this a more of that serious kind of injury?
yeah,
Obviously was hoping for the best, but
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and terrible news. It's and the way you described it was that you had this non-contact injury, but kind of got up, dusted yourself off, and tried to have a crack, which is quite a like different story to what we hear some other people that, and maybe even see some other people in different sports where they go down with an obvious ACL injury and they're rolling around on the ground, they can't move, they have to be stretchered off. There's like such a big obvious moment. But for you, you sounded like you had a completely different, very subtle
Yeah.
history where you could just sort of try and almost like run it off, but didn't
Yeah.
still feel
Yeah.
great.
I remember obviously just being on the ground and being, yeah, very, very sore. And I was like, oh no. And then like, yeah, it felt like it kind of settled and then I was trying to run and then it just felt like quite clicky and just quite like unstable. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this isn't feeling right. So we won't push it.
Time to call it. Yeah. And
Mm.
so so after that you sort of ended up in the hospital, you looked at the
Mm.
scans that you got the bad news. What was sort of the process then for you? Because you're in the national team and sort of
Yeah.
in the group. Like, did you get flown home and then, talk us through
Yeah.
those early treatment options? What was sort of that first discussion about what happens next?
Yeah, like obviously there's such a good medical team and physio team with that in that space. So yeah, we're kind of making the call like do I go home early without the team or do I just sort of stick it out and stay? I think yeah, we just made the call to just stay in terms of just being in and around that space and obviously I feel like you kind of just have to put on a brave face a little bit and just still be there in that team environment and still soak it in and absorb all the information you're
Yeah.
receiving, but in the back of your mind, you're also thinking, well, this could be, a season-ending injury. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they flew me back. They flew me back business class, so obviously to make me feel comfortable. And then, yeah, went straight back. Actually, spent a bit of time up in Auckland, and then went down to Christchurch where I actually had my surgery. So I
Yeah.
didn't initially go straight back into the professional environment. I kind of after we found out it was the ACL, sort of gave myself a bit of time, arranged sort of a surgery date, which was pretty soon after. So I
Yep.
would have done it early December and got my surgery date just before Christmas. So
Oh wow, okay. So pretty quick 4 week turnaround.
pretty quick. So yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then had decided to just do it in Christchurch where my family were. So
Yep.
well, yeah. Mm.
Yeah. And was the reason for that because of the your like soccer goals and the club? Were you on a contract at the time? Like who were you kind of, I guess, contractually obliged to?
Yeah, yeah.
That
I
was
was
that part
under
of like
contract.
the yeah.
Yeah, I was under contract with Phoenix, so yeah, obviously they're taking care of me, but obviously the injury happened while I was away with the Ferns.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I guess they both were supportive of me, and so like in terms of medical, they were already getting in touch with through the Ferns, already getting in touch with people I can see for a surgery, and then
yeah.
obviously Phoenix was super supportive and just where I wanted to do it and where I wanted to, be based for those first initial post-op stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you had the surgery done close to home, and yeah, how was those first, I guess the first 2 or 3 months, like the first, and was this your first major injury, first major surgery, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff as
Yeah.
a professional athlete?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, probably the most serious one I had.
Yeah,
Yeah, thankfully I haven't had anything else before that. But yeah, the first 3 months, I spent a little bit of time down in Christchurch and then slowly made my way up in the new year up to Wellington, where I was surrounded obviously with a really good facility and also the support staff. So being able to just be guided through that initial rehab was really, really helpful.
yeah,
And then 2, 3 months, was already kind of getting comfortable. Got to go on like an underwater treadmill as well, so just to really get sort of that those processes underway to get me fit for. I think I did like a 3 month sort of running mark is when I started to run.
yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm.
And you've probably, once again, probably been around enough to sort of see, I guess the differences between males and females,
Mm.
like, and what males get access to, and some of the professional men around the world, and
Mm.
often get flown all over the place to get second opinions or go visit the best rehab facilities, or they seemingly have 24-hour care. Like, do you feel like for you, like, can you just sort of I don't know, like what the question is here. Like, do you without did you feel like you had like really good opportunities for like to see your club physio on a regular basis, or
Mm.
to get strength and conditioning done early? Like, did you feel like you had that really good supportive environment early, and you could sort of
Yeah,
call up someone at the drop of a hat and say, "Oh, hey, I'm having a problem with my knee," or "I'm a bit
yeah.
worried about this," and yeah, like, did you think that was on par, or do you feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between the males and females?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we're very, very lucky in terms of the facility we have done at Phoenix, and that probably definitely paid off in terms of, yeah, I was still sort of in and out, like every day was in with the team, obviously not doing what the team was doing, but doing the rehab and yeah, being able to access my physios and strength and conditioning all in that one place. So I think that was really, really helpful. I would say, yeah, on par, we share the space with the men as well. And I think it's a
Mm.
really good, yeah, we're pretty lucky compared to other clubs that I've also heard around the A League as well as
Yep.
overseas. But um, yeah, I think obviously, yeah, you hear some experiences are quite different in terms of the disparities, but for
Mhm.
me, it was pretty good and yeah, such a
Good.
professional standard as well.
Awesome.
High
So
level.
the boys and the girls can play nicely together. They share their toys and
Yeah, yeah,
get
exactly.
along
That's
well.
what you want, eh?
That's good.
Yeah.
It is really good. It's good to see and hear because there's probably you hear probably a lot more negative stories about clubs that have got both men and women teams
Mm,
within in the kind of facilities and there's often you know,
mm,
yeah, a big disconnect about what the
yeah.
females get access to, when they get access to it, and they have to sort of time and schedule things so there's not crossing paths. And it's like, we don't live in the
Mm,
1960s and 70s anymore. We can have, collective groups working together. And my experience with it when I worked in professional netball is that the men and the women, even though we had AFL and netball,
mm,
there was never any issues, and we got on
no,
harmoniously. Like, and we shared the same gym, but there was all this
mm,
initial kind of, I guess, concern that there's going to be a distraction between the boys and the girls. It was
mm,
everyone got along really well, and you just want to see
good.
more of it, and especially like with the, like the women's game in a lot of different codes needs to be sort of brought up and I think the more the clubs can get behind the women codes, be it soccer, be it AFL, be it rugby league, be it rugby union, like
Mm,
it's only going to allow
yeah.
both clubs to get better at it. So anyway, that's
Definitely.
just me on my high horse. I better get off it. So so you're running it 3 months and
Mhm,
things going really well. Like what sort of, I guess, I know we're probably going to get into your second injury soon, but
mm,
like you're running, jumping, back
mhm.
on the training pitch. Like how are you feeling at that moment? Like where, things were just sort of seemingly humming along. Like were you kind of even eyeing off a return back to full training in the next few months?
Mm,
Like,
mm. Yeah, I would say like yeah, I guess what 3 months would have taken us sort of to the March, April period, which um at that time, yeah, was on the pitch, was, introduced into that space again, which was just exciting and ready to, keep progressing and going from there. And like obviously that would have just been nearing the end of this team season. So obviously back in your mind you're thinking as well, like where to after, after this, after the contract's done. Yeah, but I definitely really benefited from being in that space. To then obviously looking forward to what it would look like in a more off-season sort of
yeah.
off contract period, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Mm.
what happens like with A League, women's in particular, like if when you're outside of a season, do you go and explore like European competitions, American, Canadian, or do you just
Mm.
stay at home and play like a level down? Like what does
Mm.
that kind of look like?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can. Obviously, in terms of like, there's different like transfer windows as well. So you obviously have to think about that in terms of, I think earlier, or like a few years ago, it would have been timed quite well with the American League. So a lot of Australians would play in the A League and then go, have that professional experience over in like say America, but now it's sort of changed where those transfer windows aren't as well lined up, so you can't necessarily end your season at the A League and then go straight into another
Mm.
season. They kind of a bit of overlap. So yeah, I think um for that, yeah, it's a bit more tricky to do, but yeah, you see some players do it and it's great.
Yep,
I guess for me, in my mind, I was also still a student, so I wanted to get my degree done. So it was more prioritizing sort of getting that last little bit done and then
yep,
going from there and looking potentially to the overseas side. But yeah,
yep. Yeah.
these other plans.
Yeah, life had other plans for you. So
Yeah.
can and to I guess do the spoiler alert. Unfortunately, I had a second injury about the 6 month mark. So
Mhm.
was that yeah? Can you sort of walk us through that and sort of tell us how that all sort of went down?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, obviously after being in Wellington, contract would have ended around the April time. Made my way back up to Auckland, which is where I'd been based for like um, since high school, sort of doing my studies, doing football, and then football obviously took me. took me briefly to Melbourne to play for Melbourne City and then brought me to Wellington. So yeah, was underway in terms of continuing my physio up here
Mm.
and then obviously finishing off my degree. So at the same time I was sort of juggling a bit of both. But yeah, still really progressing well with the rehab and then yeah, was doing a lot more sort of on pitch things. And then yeah, it was just a very unfortunate obviously event that happened. It was more a little bit of like on the ball stuff. It happened to be a little bit more of a rainy day, slippery. It was on turf as well, artificial turf,
Yeah.
and yeah, just received a ball again, no contact. It was sort of just receiving the ball, passing it into the goal, sort of kicked the ball, and I was at the stage of doing all that, kicking the ball, striking a little bit, and then sort of struck it with my right, landed on my right foot, which and then my knee just hyperextended, locked out, and
Yeah.
then again fell to the ground. And then
Oh,
yeah, it was different, I guess, in that time. Um, like I think the pain was maybe similar, obviously, to what it was the first time, but just in terms of how it felt, yeah, I'd say it felt kind of different. I'm trying to think specifically how, but
okay.
obviously initially, like you've done it the first time, you do that kind of funny movement again, you're like, oh, it's not, doesn't feel right, doesn't
Yeah.
feel great. So yeah, we obviously tested it straight away and yeah, had to get some other scans just to check and yeah,
Yeah.
re-rupture of the graft, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate, but
What was
yeah.
and what was the it's never like from a health professional point of view, like it's never if you're under the you're under the care and you're looking after someone, like it's always this sinking feeling and being involved in someone's care and they've re-injured themselves, like
Mm,
obviously the athlete too, like there's all these emotions that go on through it. Like
yeah,
how was like the medical team sort of, around
yeah,
that time? Was there any finger pointing and blaming, or was it all a very, I
yeah,
guess, one of a
yeah,
united kind of situation where it was just so unfortunate that something like this happened, or
yeah.
was there sort of questions of
Yeah,
why?
I definitely think it was, like you said, just very, very unfortunate. And I mean, I was at the stage where I was progressing well, would be tolerating those kind of things, right? But
Mm.
yeah, I don't know, like obviously circumstances, the environment, it was just, just a day where it was a slipperier surface. So again, like you can't really look at it and think it's anyone's fault because it's not.
Yep.
It's just how it happened. But obviously in the moment, very obviously both sort of, in the medical perspective and from as myself as I was training, it was just gutting. I think, yeah, just straight away. You kind of knew. I think I knew more than
You're
I knew
thinking,
the first time, obviously, that I had done something serious. I just knew the second time. I was just like, yeah, it's just doesn't feel right. So obviously,
yeah,
made some phone calls, obviously a bit emotional and yeah, gutted, but obviously again, just wanting to look ahead and
yep,
what things are next and what do we need to do to yeah get me back
yeah.
into the rhythm of things. So yeah.
Yeah, and so the second time, and after the second injury, did um did you have more time on your hands for that initial sort of initial early rehab, or was it like, all right, let's just crack on, let's have another early surgery and let's just get back and let's start this thing again? Or did you need more time for the second time? Did you have more time mentally to kind of get over what's just happened and then mentally prepare for another,
Mm.
9 to 12 months ahead? Like what was that kind of initial planning for the second surgery like?
Yeah, I would say like what would have happened sort of the mid-June period. I would say very, very similar timings to how it actually happened the first time with sort of the turnover to getting the surgery.
Yep.
Obviously, I was already doing all the right things in terms of what I was doing rehab wise to,
Yeah.
obviously having good strength, swelling wasn't too bad the second time. So just yeah, I think again, it was more so finished my placement, so I got that done. And then literally, I think the next day after I finished my placement, I had my surgery, so it would have been early July. Yeah, July, August, yeah, July. So quite quick turnaround, I would say. It didn't take time to sort of mentally process it before the
Yep.
surgery, but more so just I think in my mind was just like to just get the surgery done as
Yeah.
soon as possible to be.
Yeah. And you went through the same surgeon the second time around?
No, so I was obviously up in Auckland, so had just decided to go for a surgeon up in Auckland,
Yep.
and yeah, actually, yeah, sort of different process. Obviously, I think when I did it the first time, was in Christchurch, and then went straight into a professional environment. Looked kind of differently this time. Went through a surgeon just through yeah, specialist sort of route, and then
Yep.
I've been sort of in the system where I've been able to do my like check-in sort of at my month marks to just get a physio to also have a look at it through
Yep.
that same sort of clinic. And then that's when I obviously do my return to sport testing as well. So that's kind of a bit more of a pathway where they do
Yep.
those regular check-ins compared to
Yep.
the first time, maybe not as much structured sort of planning and support around doing those benchmark sort of
Yep.
testings. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm.
And what was the graft tissue? I don't think I asked that initially. What was your first surgery? What graft did they take?
They took my patella tendon, obviously in
Yep.
the knee that was the affected knee. So they
Yep.
took that for the first one, and then so
Yep.
they then the second time took my contralateral side. So they took it from my left patella
Okay.
tendon,
Yeah,
and
both
yeah,
patella tendons, both
both
both.
patella
Yeah,
tendons.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. What's it?
Yeah.
What's it in Australia mostly? Are they doing more hamstring or is it more patella?
Yeah, I think most surgeons I would comfortably say primary ACL reconstructions would be hamstring grafts
Mm.
mostly
Mm.
from most of the people that I've worked with in the past. There's one guy here in Townsville, very experienced surgeon up here that routinely does patella tendons, and
Mm.
I love working with patella tendons. They've become my new favorite harvest
Mm.
side. I think I grew up in my early careers managing only hamstrings because that's all I saw.
Yeah.
But having now worked with a number of patella tendons over the last, 5 or 6 years, it's
Mm.
really become my favorite.
Mm.
I know that you get that, you get the anterior knee pain, but it's not a given. Like that's what I've sort of, come to understand is that the person that goes through a patella tendon harvest doesn't always have to have anterior knee pain. And if we treat it like a tendinopathy early, hit it nicely with isometrics, and
Yeah.
you do mix of open chain, closed chain, isometrics, and
Yeah.
just treat it like a tendinopathy,
Yeah.
and yeah, it bounces back. And yes,
Exactly.
it may be a bit slower out of the blocks than a hamstring,
Mm.
but it eventually turns around and comes back, and they're really strong, robust.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, harvests, and yeah, I love working with them. So it's
Yeah.
and how's that for you? Like having both patella tendons
Mm.
removed, or central parts of the patella tendon. Do you have any
Mm.
residual pain, soreness, discomfort
Um,
out of either?
Yeah, like I mean, probably the first surgery, having had it on the same right side, didn't notice it too much, but then obviously had obviously a rest from having and then having the second surgery, I've had no issues with that right sided. It's more probably that left side that I just get the anterior sort of knee pain with.
Yep.
But like you said, it responds to the load and just doing that sort of gradually and yeah,
Yep.
I think it's yeah. They take a while, but they it gets there in the end. And yeah,
Yep. And any meniscus involvement in any of your
the
injuries?
second time I did, so I did both medial and lateral meniscus tears. So I think they just did a repairs, so no need for meniscectomies or anything. So
Okay. Yep.
yeah.
So did you have for the second surgery, you have a non-weight bearing period and bracing and that
I
stuff?
didn't actually,
Okay.
no,
Good.
no. So yeah, straight away weight bearing. So I don't think they were as yeah, they didn't need it for the non-weight bearing period. So
Cool.
that's good. Yeah,
It's always a from a physio perspective, it's always a it just look, you want to preserve the meniscus at all costs, and you want to make
yeah,
sure it sticks down and is preserved for
yes,
forever. But a big meniscus repair, as you know, it's going to involve some partial weight bearing periods and some
yeah,
reduction in range, and it's going
yeah,
to extend your rehab. I find minimum probably 3 months. If you have
yeah,
a non-weight bearing period or a touch weight bearing period for six
yeah.
weeks, it's like kind of double that
Six, yeah.
6 week
Yeah.
6 week period where you're locked in restricted range. Tack
Mm,
another 6 weeks on top of that, and that's kind of like where we're starting from. We're almost like starting rehab at 12 weeks post-op
yeah,
when you can get moving compare and that's kind of in comparison to someone that's straight out of the blocks and weight bearing without those meniscus repairs. So it adds time.
yeah.
I find
True.
those ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of just shifting those goalposts. Like you can't, you as a patient. you can't sort of really do anything with it. We just have to sort of respect it and appreciate it. You as a clinician with your clinician hat on, it's like, well, we just have to kind of maybe move the goalposts across a little bit, and still have those goals in mind for your
Definitely.
patient. They still probably want to tick those boxes, but we still just have to be very criteria driven. And
Yeah.
that's what I guess we're lucky now than what we've ever been able to work in a space where we've got great numbers to guide our
Mm,
decision making and our progressions.
yeah.
Whereas 10, 15 years ago, it was all basically based on arbitrary time points where I think a lot of poor outcomes have have occurred because we've just purely pushed people along through 3 month, 6 month, 9 month arbitrary time points. So
Yeah.
I think positively we're in a good place as a physio community and the patients. Um,
Good.
yeah. So it's it's a tough one. Did you get an LET procedure the second time around on
Yeah.
that right side?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To just to stabilize through the graft a bit more.
Yeah.
Just through the IT band. Yeah.
Yeah. And how's that kind of area for you? Like, is that 12 months down the track? It probably should be good, but did you have any
Yeah.
problems with it early post-op?
No, I'm trying to remember back. A little bit of like obviously tenderness through there, through that area, but I wouldn't say it caused me many issues. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, pretty good
Cool.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for those that probably aren't aware of what LET is, it's the lateral extra tenodesis. So basically, it's an extra. Well, the surgeon will craft an extra bit of rotational stability by nicking into the ITB a little bit and wrapping it under and looping it through underneath the lateral collateral ligament and anchoring it to the tibia, and it reduces rotational movement at the shin in relation to the femur. And in some studies that have been published recently, it can reduce your re-injury rates by about 50%. So it's a nice insurance policy. And I think certainly surgeons are more likely to have this put into a surgery for a graft failure. And so they're doing a revision, but I've seen more and more of it happening for primary ACL reconstructions in high risk individuals. So usually young females, usually those having a hamstring graft, usually like those that are hypermobile. If you sort of tick those boxes and obviously play risky sports, then the surgeons these days are probably more inclined to add an LET the first time rather
Mm.
than running the gauntlet. And unfortunately, seeing a re-injury present 1 or 2 years down the track, they'll get on the front foot with it and try to reduce that risk from occurring significantly. So that's once again the beauty of sort of time and research. We're starting to discover this as an extra procedure. So touch wood, this is the last one you have to go
Yes.
through, Marissa. Well,
Yep.
let's fast forward a bit. Like it's now for you a bit over 12 months post
Yeah. Yeah.
second second surgery.
Yeah.
And what's I guess what is where are you at now? Like you're back training fully.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
went if is this A-League season upon us?
Yes, so the A-League season begins technically late October. I think our first game's for early November. So yeah, it's very
Awesome.
soon
And
actually.
yeah, it's coming your way. And
Hmm.
how are you like within yourself, like training unrestricted at the moment?
Yeah, no, so
Fully,
fully training.
yep,
I've been training and playing, probably playing more so since July. Training well before that. And then yeah, I've been playing, so I've probably played probably up in Auckland, just in the club league here, probably around I've done maybe close to 10 games. And then have been able recently just flew down and played a couple one game with the girls down there and just doing a lot of boys training. So sort of just seeing if we can bring that level up a little bit more speed of play. And then yeah, very soon this weekend we'll head down to Wellington to join the team and
yep.
get underway in that environment, so that'll be good.
Awesome. So that's the official first like preseason training starting.
Yeah,
Yep.
they've already started, so I'm a little bit late to it, but I'm joining
Yeah.
them soon, which will be good. So yeah, fully in yeah, and feeling good with it, so that's good.
Yeah. Awesome. Is that and delaying start of preseason, is that because you're ticking off final boxes or is it work related
As
or
work related,
yeah.
yeah, just the contract I was under before and just sort of seeing that out and then yeah.
Yeah,
been released
awesome.
now, so that's
Oh,
good.
congratulations for being back in the mix again, and yeah, ready to fire. What
Yeah.
was the now that you've completed that rehab a full 12 months,
Mm.
what did that kind of return to, I guess, yeah, all the big ticks, what were the
Yeah.
big ticket items for you to pass before you kind of get given this green light to be in an uncontrolled, like, yeah, unrestricted, uncontrolled environment where, yeah, were
Mm.
they purely strength measures? Were they hop tests? Can you sort of, yeah, give us an idea as to
Yeah.
what hoops you had to jump through?
Yeah, so in New Zealand, well, where I did mine through Axis, which is a clinic here, they tested me doing like a preliminary sort of return to sport testing, probably around the 5 month mark. So it would have been the end of last year, and then that's more of a strength measure to see where our strength's at in terms of quad and hamstring, and then if you got a good level of sort of symmetry, then LSI, and then they would also get you to do a counter movement jump. So that was the sort of first little test prelim before the, I guess, booking in when you felt comfortable to do your return to sport testing, which would include more of the hopping and sort of the vertical and horizontal hopping. So that I did that 7 months post-op. So I did, yeah,
Yep.
7 months. It would have been like Feb this year. So I did it, yeah, pretty, yeah, pretty comfortable with it, and yeah, had passed that already at that mark, and then probably hadn't fully like gotten into trainings yet by that stage, but yeah, was sort of had passed that, so it was pretty gave me some confidence, and just getting into the football space really was the aim after that.
Yeah. And confidence for you, has that been the second time around being on the pitch? Has it been a problem for you, or have you been, I guess, mentally sound and
Mhm.
supported either? Yeah, yeah. How's that been for you, having
Yeah,
been through two non-contact injuries and uh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think it's yeah. I think it obviously takes a bit of time to just get back on your feet again and just get comfortable. Obviously, um, with like football specific things, but also just sort of speed of running and just the change of direction elements, but yeah, I've definitely felt supported. I think there's been some moments where it's a little bit like, yeah, you're trusting your body again a little bit. And there's always obviously moments where you feel your knee and you're like, oh, it's like it's not 100, it's not feeling like it with your other side, or it just lets you know sometimes that it's doing more and more. And so yeah, I think it's just also kind of knowing what your body is saying as well, and just also yeah, trusting that it is improving with each little training that you are doing. And just I think with that comes confidence, and just um, yeah, also for me, I think it was a really big thing, just the enjoyment again and finding it. I think obviously I took time away from, well, obviously through injury, took time away from the football, and definitely through that made me want to just get back to it and really enjoy it again, because I did miss it a lot. So yeah. Mm.
yeah, awesome. Did you has in terms of regaining that confidence again, like, has it been a gradual exposure thing for you, or has it been like help through your physio, your health cert, like, your like sports psych, like, has there been some strategies there, or yeah, what do you think sort of helped, yeah, regain that confidence?
Yeah, I think just I guess having like, yeah, the support sort of networks around you, whether it is just family, friends first and foremost, but also the specific sort of football support, so having coaches who are there to help you through it, but also the physios. Um, yeah, I think obviously helps having sort of the physio head as well on some things. That can also give me confidence of, knowing where I'm at, and yeah, that it is continually getting better and better, and just yeah, yeah, I think those were the main things. I didn't actually, interestingly, yeah, sports psych could have been a real interesting thing to also look into. And there's definitely access to do those things. But yeah, for me, it just didn't really come up. But I think, yeah. Mm.
Yep. Yep. And being a physio, do you think that can be like a hindrance to you progressing, or do you think that's sort of been helpful? Because I know we're probably the worst at
Yeah, taking
uh,
your own advice.
yeah, taking our own advice, but also to being quite objective within ourselves. The amount of times I've tried to rehab my own calf injuries has been, I'm reckless to my own health when it comes to it. So I need to practice what I preach a lot more. But
Yeah.
yeah, how did that sit with you being a physio? And
Yeah.
yeah, did you manage yourself, or did you actually, really rely on the expertise of others?
Yeah, I think obviously with it you obviously have your set of skills and knowledge around it, but I think as much as yeah, like you said, like taking our own advice, I think it is always nice to just have an external sort of yeah, someone who is there guiding you through it as well, because I think they also bring a different perspective from your own as well. And I think even like from, previous experiences, obviously, just having that probably that trust factor of knowing when to progress and not being too yeah, I guess hesitant to progress because, I guess with that support of a physio, they can take you saying, you can do it. But yeah, I think in turn as well, I think I've also developed through being a physio as well. It's helped me to do better as well through my rehab and just adding little bits that I've also learned through that. So yeah, I think in general it's a good thing, but as well it's also helpful to have that physio support, your own physio, Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need, and it goes, but also too, like for personal trainers and exercise physiologists, I think there's,
Mm,
we kind of know often more, a fair amount when it comes to the body, and certainly if you've managed a few ACLs in the past and you know how to manage it, then you unfortunately sustain your own. I think there's
mm,
also too an important need where you've got someone around you to be objective. Because
yeah,
yeah, I think most of us sort of think we could probably do more than what our need truly can. But also
yeah,
too, sometimes we might be just holding back a little bit because we
yeah,
may be on the other side of the equation, might be a bit sort of fearful and cautious. So we need someone to kick us in the bum and
yeah,
actually get going. So I think that's where having like someone to lean on, outside of your own, yeah,
definitely.
in between your own two ears. I think that's an
Yeah.
important part. Did you, in all your, like the last 18 months, did you find any silver linings to, a couple of really crappy clouds that sort of came over the horizon for you? Like, I don't know, did you learn a new skill, or did you, learn, learn like, yeah, it's interesting hearing different people's sort of journeys and what things they've learned along the way. Like, yeah, were there any silver linings for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely through injury and through having that like those setbacks and things, you definitely learn to appreciate the other things as li of life as well, and it's not all about yeah. Well, I guess when you are doing professional sport and you're so driven and focused and motivated to do well through that, you definitely, you know, forget about other things. And I think for me as well, it's great to sort of get a career underway. That's been a really cool thing to be able to do and just gain that experience, but also just through yeah, social sort of family friends as well, spending more time with them as well, I think has been super beneficial. I can't say I've learnt any new skills in this time or any other little
You
things, but
didn't take up baking banana bread, or
oh no, oh,
learn knitting, or stamp collecting, or
oh
anything like that.
no.
That's a no.
I'm trying to think, what did I do? A little bit of sewing, yeah, I do a little
Yeah,
bit of things like little DIY, like little jobs around the
yeah.
place. But yeah.
Yeah, nice. What do you do outside of, football and physio? Like, did you sort of able to sort of, pick up more reading or movie watching, or, yeah, like socializing, that kind of stuff? Did you find yourself having this extra, bit of time, which, it can sort of, help you, holistically?
Yes, no, definitely. I feel like I'm also very outdoorsy, so I love to go yeah, just to the beach and obviously having a summer. A-League's usually over the summer as well, so actually being able to enjoy that time as well. And yeah, just having yeah, community and friends around. Yeah, I really appreciate those aspects of my life, and you take it sometimes for granted when you're so focused on other things like football. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Did you find your rehab? Were you kind of, going through the ACL rehab, both journeys? Did you have like other fellow long-term rehabbers around you as well to work off and, I
Mm,
guess, motivate each other, or did you find you were kind of often isolated, like in the rehab room by yourself at times? Like,
mm,
how did that? Because I know the professional environment can be really isolating for
yeah.
someone, being amongst the team environment, constantly out training, being on the pitch, and all of a sudden now, like, you can't. interact the same as what you were. Those little friendly moments you have with your teammates, those laughs and giggles on the sidelines, and
Mm.
now lost because you're in the gym or you're on the physio table or you're in the hydro pool and you lose
Yeah.
that connection. Like, yeah, how did that go for you? Like having that disconnect at times.
Yeah, I would say my experience with it actually in the professional environment, so the first rehab, I had another girl who had done her ACL maybe like a month or two before I had done mine. So yeah, we actually got to do a lot of our rehab together. Like she got to, be there when I got on the Alter G and things like that. So that was really nice because we could actually spend that time, and even, when the girls would go away for their games, we would be able to, just hang out and just watch the games together and not feel too isolated. I guess it more so when it came to sort of me being off contract and being back in Auckland was kind of when I had to sort of yeah, I guess in terms of the rehab be quite motivated and driven just to get to the gym and do it kind of a bit more by myself. I had that's to say I had some good support around being in a high performance gym up here in Auckland, which was cool. So you're surrounded by other athletes, but not necessarily any like long-term rehabbers, I would
Yeah.
say. But yeah, I guess both experiences looked different, but yeah, yeah. So I guess
Yeah.
good to experience both and see how, yeah. I didn't feel too isolated the second time round, but yeah, it was different in terms of
Just
just being a
different.
bit more. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And do you have many, I've spoken to a couple of soccer players now, both men and women, and both have sort of said there's been times where I turned up for rehab and I just didn't want to be there. Like, I was so flat, so moody,
Yeah.
like and you just get sick of seeing the same physio or the same gym room. Like, did you ever have any moments like that? And if so, like how did you kind of handle that? Because I don't think that's talked about enough. I think a lot of patients will kind of go see the physio once a week, once
Mm.
a fortnight.
Mm.
If they're not in a professional environment, they probably don't have that kind of Groundhog Day feeling where it's just like literally every day I'm just seeing the same face, the same plinth, the same thing. And like, yeah, did you have that experience, or was there kind of enough kind of vibes around the
Yeah.
place in that first rehab, probably more so than the second one, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would say, yeah, maybe the first one, obviously, it's quite the same thing every day. And I think sometimes you just got to accept that you're not always going to feel 100% every single day to, smash out the rehab. And I think it's just being a little bit kind to yourself as well and just knowing what you can do in those days when it is a little bit trickier. Just, getting done what you can get done. I think the second time round, yeah, just was a lot more variation. So I wasn't necessarily always being in the same place every single day. But sort of, yeah, finding a bit of a routine. So being here on one day, seeing the physio the next. So I guess that helped with a bit of variability. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Well, we're probably getting close to picking your brains for all that I could squeeze out of you. I'm really just fascinated by hearing, the tale of two stories. Like we've sort of got one there that was really heavily supported in a professional environment, and you were like the
Mm,
club was so supportive of you the second time, even though you're off contract. They came back
definitely.
and said, "Yep, we're more than happy to sign you up again, and let's roll you out again." So it speaks volumes about the people around you and the club
Mm,
you're involved with for them to sort of
yeah,
do that, because a lot of players unfortunately sort of get cut and that's it.
yeah, yeah.
So that's wonderful to hear. So October, we're playing your first game back, and like, are you expecting, like you got a few more preseason games, I could imagine. Are you playing full minutes, or is that the sort of goal, or do you sort of, will you be, in the starting lineup, hopefully, or what's that kind of the next 12 months? Like, if you could write a fairy tale
Yeah, yeah.
rebook, what would the next 12 months look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've signed a 2-year contract with the Phoenix. So obviously I've been playing sort of the 90 minutes in sort of a club level here, but yeah, obviously aiming to try and get to the full 90 in that professional space. And I think yeah, just putting my best foot forward and just seeing really challenging myself in this preseason as well as getting back into just yeah, full game mode and just getting sort of that tactical aspect as well back in. But yeah, definitely aiming to try and get starting and yeah, try and get into the starting lineup and just yeah, I guess proving myself to be good enough for that starting position.
Yep.
And yeah, 12 months, I guess, yeah, just looks like playing consistently in the A League and doing well, performing well, and yeah, obviously it's always an aspiration to represent your country, and I haven't been able to get that first cap yet, even though being around that space. So whether that comes in the next 12 months, whether it doesn't, as long as I'm sort of, enjoying the football and playing at a good, level and consistent, that's probably best
Yeah.
case scenario. I mean, you can obviously always want more as well. Score a couple
Yeah.
goals would be great as a defender, but yeah.
So, does that happen much as a defender? You,
I'm not. Oh, I've in the past score a
yeah,
few off corners, set
yeah.
pieces.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say off the corners, you jump up high
yeah,
because you're quite tall, right? Like you'd be up there launching above the a pack.
fairly
Yeah,
tall. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Try my best to jump up and get those, but yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that'd be cool too.
Awesome. What is there? When's the next World Cup?
It will be 2027.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Two years, well, 15, yeah, let's call it 2 years away. So you get a good season into your legs and then get the call up for cap number one and many more on that. Touch wood, fingers crossed for you.
We will
What,
see.
are you working when you go down to Wellington as a physio or will you be
Yeah,
full?
obviously I think it'd be nice to keep up the registration, what it looks like. I think it was something you just have to figure out in the next couple of weeks to months and just sort of see. Obviously it's looks football looks like obviously it is like a big commitment in terms of the time, but there is sort of space to be able to do something as well part-time likely. So
Yep.
what that'll look like is quite tricky, I think, to do physio with a bit of that flexibility because it's always nice to have that sort of set
Yeah.
sort of times for people, but we'll see how it works and
Yep.
hopefully something can be flexible around it.
Yep, for sure.
Mm.
All right, last two questions. So let's put first your physio, yeah, physio hat on first.
Hmm.
What would be one piece of advice you could share to our audience about what I guess what actually, sorry, I'll take that back. Let's put your patient hat on. So your
Okay.
athlete hat, you normal. Like what's one thing we could do as better as physios, like you being on the other side of the table, you being on the
Mm.
plinth, you being in the rehab room on the field. What can we do as a profession and as a physiotherapist to make, I guess, the rehab journey easier or better
Mm.
or more comfortable? Like, is there anything you learn along the way in the last, couple of years that you kind of saw great things out of a particular physio, or you thought, oh, I wish we could sort of done that bit different or better? Like, is there
Mm.
any kind of thing that you can advise us as physios that how we can do our jobs better?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the first thing that comes to mind really is obviously we know when as an athlete, you hear you've done your ACL and you know it's going to take a while, it's going to be a long rehab. I think having sort of like a really clear plan and structure in terms of obviously we know it's not always going to be consistent sort of with sort of time frames. Obviously there's those time frames set in place and that can be different for each individual, but sort of setting like a clear plan in terms of say if it is an athlete, this is what you do in, that beginning phase, moving into that sort of middle phase, and then obviously even having those like little goals. I feel like for me, I'm a very sort of goal-driven person. Obviously, everyone's got their own goals, but having that sort of motivation and little specific individual like plans in terms of structure. Obviously, some things don't always go to plan, but I think um just sort of setting an expectation for some people because I think some people know it's going to take a while, but they don't actually know what it might consist of
Yeah,
or what is to come. So whether there's just a bit more clarity around it, I guess, because some
yeah,
people can be a little bit shocked of how much they're expected to be in the gym and things like that
yeah,
and whether that's realistic for them as well. So yeah, I think that can also help set things into perspective for some people and for some athletes as well. Mm.
yeah. No, that's also really great advice. I think that's a consistent theme we're seeing is making sure that there's a plan. Like I think, like it's such an important thing that we do with not only professional athletes but also to our everyday population. Like
Mm.
we need to sort of show them that here's, and even whatever, it doesn't even have to be like a long-term injury like ACL injury, like even a relatively short-term injury like an ankle sprain or, a simple ankle sprain or even like a calf tear or something like that. Like I sort of have to map out and say, look, this is kind of, if you want to go back to sport or you got to go back to running, these are the kind of
Mm.
anticipated timelines that are very rough, but this is where we need to go from acute injury through to here, and this might sort of
Yeah.
take it'll take X amount of weeks, but we need to show that we've got a plan. Like there's nothing worse than not, dealing with someone who's got no
Mm,
idea, no idea of processes. So it's really important that we get those processes in place. And I like that about expectations too, because I think that often doesn't get laid down early is, like to get the best results out of your rehab. Yeah, we need to early on, do 2, 3 sessions a day, most days per week, just to stop your quads from completely atrophying and your knee stiffening up and the knee continually swelling. Like you got to go hard at this for the next month. But you know what? After this first month, it's not going to be like this forever. It's
mm,
going to sort of slow down, and we're going to drop back into 3 or 4 sessions a week in the gym, and this is
mm,
what's going to look like. I think having those conversations early is really key.
mm,
So those soft skills, I agree. I think they're hard, but they're very
mm.
important to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and lastly, what would be a piece of advice for a fellow athlete or a fellow patient that's going through your journey? Have you got any sort of words of wisdom there to patients who are listening to your story tonight? Yeah, is there anything you can share with them to sort of keep them motivated, keep them chugging along, to keep them on course?
Yeah. Obviously, like, yeah, it's never going to be a smooth road often. It's always going to be little dips of times where it is difficult. But I think, yeah, first of all, having sort of good support around you, but also knowing in yourself as well what you're aiming for obviously sets those things in the future to look forward to and to really, yeah, see yourself getting back to. I think that really, really helps. But as well, not always, I think sometimes what you also do, sometimes compare yourself as well to what other people have done with their ACLs or they got back at this certain time as well. So just sort of sticking to you as an individual, you're going to be so different to someone else, right? And so just having confidence in the rehab that you are doing and that you are doing it at your own pace and ability of what your body can do as well. And I think just knowing that and not also yeah, being too caught up with what maybe other people have experienced, but
Yeah,
just I guess learning from what you're experiencing and to continue to yeah, just encourage people to keep going and to not yeah, it is hard work though. That's another thing. Like it doesn't come easy, but it pays off, right? And like you said, you work hard in like a month and then, sets you up well so you don't have to, yeah, just setting up those like pillars and milestones, the groundwork really to set you up
yeah,
well for the future. Yeah.
yeah. Love that. I love that. It's definitely your race is your race.
Mm,
Like many times over, it's it's getting people to stop comparing themselves to other people that they see. And the worst person you can compare yourself to, if you're not a professional athlete and you're not in a professional environment, which is completely different to you, you arguably can at times compare yourself to other people, but even still that's not
mm,
great. But other people who are watching and listening to this, if they're not getting paid to train or play for their sport and they're not supported like you are, don't compare yourself
yeah.
to Marisa. Don't compare yourself to other professional athletes who've got all this support around them, almost 24 hours a day support. The general population at best have probably got, maybe 2 or 3 sessions that are supported by a physio, and our progress is often going to be a little bit slower than others. So your race is your race, and never
Mm,
compare yourself to anyone else's. And each knee injury is completely different. Some ACL
true.
injuries are accompanied by a hell of a lot of extra trauma. So yes, you might have had the same hamstring graft taken out. You might have had the same surgeon. You might be the same age. You might be the same your body shape and body build. But if your knee has copped a whole heap of extra trauma, like an MCL injury, a massive
Mm,
bone bruise, a nick in the cut in the meniscus, your recovery is going to be much slower and protracted than someone who's had a simple isolated ACL injury. So, yeah,
mm.
never compare yourself to others is the moral of the story there, and completely agree with Marissa. Well, Marissa, that's I've probably held you up way too long. It's way past your bedtime. You got a big flight tomorrow. You're heading down to Wellington to start the pre-season tomorrow, and I'm
Mhm.
incredibly grateful, and I'm sure everyone watching and listening to our chat tonight is very grateful for your insights and yeah, your openness and yeah, just sharing your story. It's been really eye-opening, and I am 100% yeah, grateful for the opportunity to have a chat with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's good to also speak about your story and reflect on things as well. So it's good. Thank you for letting
Yeah,
me
well,
share
hopefully we
it.
haven't sort of opened up too many old wounds tonight.
No, 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 of course not.
Marissa, thank you very much. Well, ACL Hubbers, thank you very much for also joining us tonight. We've got plenty more of these live Q&As with athletes and experts coming up soon, so stay tuned for the next one. But until then, Marissa, thank you very much, and all the best for the upcoming A-League season. We'll be watching with great interest, us from the sidelines and our community here. So no doubt we'll be cheering you on.
Thank you so
Until
much.
until next time, ACL Hub, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.